Homes completely destroyed in the deadliest earthquakes to hit Afghanistan in years. Rescue workers on Monday were scrambling to pull out survivors and the dead from beneath the rubble 2 days after the northwestern city of Herat and its surroundings were struck. The Taliban administration said thousands were killed and many more injured in the quakes. At a hospital in Herat, some of the injured were being treated. The World Health Organization says women and children made up 2/3 of the victims hospitalized with severe injuries. Many spoke of lost or missing loved ones.
Many of our family members have been martyred, including one of my sons, and my other son is also injured.
I don't know anything about my mother, my daughter, my son, whether they are dead or alive.
Afghanistan's healthcare system, largely reliant on foreign aid, has faced crippling cuts in the 2 years since the Taliban took over. Much international assistance, which had formed the backbone of the economy, was halted. Diplomats and aid officials say concerns over Taliban restrictions on women and competing global humanitarian crises are causing donors to pull back on financial support. Apart from this hospital in Herat, the WHO says a vast majority of the facilities are smaller basic health centres and logistical challenges were hindering operations. Ala Abuzaid is the WHO Health Emergencies Team leader for Afghanistan.
We have been watching the news diverted to what's going on in the Middle East over the past 2 days, and there was very little attention to the event in Afghanistan. Attention means funding as well, diversion of funding to other competing priorities with Afghanistan. Unfortunately, this country has been in need of foreign aid for many years due to the limited capacity and the limited resources inside the country.
The UN's humanitarian office has announced $5 million worth of assistance, but immediate material support has come from a limited few countries. Neighbours Pakistan and Iran have offered to send rescue workers and humanitarian aid, while China's Red Cross Society offered cash relief aid.
More than 2,400 people were killed in earthquakes in Afghanistan, the Taliban administration said on Sunday, while 2,000 more have been injured in the deadliest tremors to rock the mountainous country in years. The Saturday quakes hit the west of the country, with one reaching a 6.3 magnitude, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. 13 members of my family were injured and need urgent support, this area resident said. Many more have been martyred, and in some places the entire family is dead. We are so worried and we need help. Janan Saik, spokesman for the Ministry of Disasters, said 10 rescue teams have been formed in addition to evacuation and rescue operations in the area. He also pointed out a blood distribution process is going on too, and water and shelter have been provided for the affected people. Some of them are sleeping outside as the earthquakes destroyed more than 1,000 homes. The natural disaster made an already challenging situation for the country even more so, according to Arshad Malik, the country director for Save the Children in Afghanistan.
We are all falling into IPC 3, which is food insecure area already because of the economic situation and the drought. So this is a crisis on top of another crisis which they were facing already. And the families need urgent support for now.
Another issue, the healthcare system, which is reliant almost entirely on foreign aid, has faced crippling cuts in the 2 years since the Taliban took over, and much international assistance, which had formed the backbone of the economy, was halted.
The Ministry of Health in Afghanistan reported, and still they are counting, more than 2,500 deaths and more of thousands of people injured, different levels of injuries, which make us assume that the numbers are still growing, and we do not have the final figures still now, as the assessments are ongoing. The search and rescue is still ongoing, so we are expecting these figures even to get worse. there are people sitting there without shelter. They are afraid, they are scared. Even if they have partially damaged houses, they are scared to enter these houses. We have mild cases who receive treatment and should go back home, but unfortunately they do not have, as they told me yesterday in my visit to the hospital yesterday, they don't have home to go back to. Two-thirds of those with severe injuries who are admitted in the hospital I have seen yesterday are children and women. The earthquake happened around 11 o'clock in the morning where men were out of the houses. So majority of those who are injured and died are women and children who were inside the houses at that time, unfortunately. So the burden of this is adding more pressure on women, adding more pressure on children who are the most vulnerable groups inside Afghanistan. We have been watching the news diverted to what's going on in the Middle East over the past 2 days, and there was very little attention to the event in Afghanistan. Attention means funding as well, diversion of funding to other competing priorities with Afghanistan. Unfortunately, this country has been in need of foreign aid for many years due to the limited capacity and the limited resources inside the country. And we know that this country also is on sanctions. Poverty is high. Economic situation is not very promising as per the latest reports coming from the World Bank. So we are expecting more deterioration, not just in health, but in other aspects that will definitely impact the health of the Afghans, limiting the services, limiting access to the health services, and probably more morbidity and mortality over the coming period if the funds and the resources are not made available for humanitarian work that was never and will be needed in the coming period for Afghanistan.